Hello, welcome to another Noda video in virtual reality. And this time I'm going to be showing you how you can make it's like a technology tree. If you've played any games, RPGs, you'd be aware of this. As you kind of go along, you unlock new technologies and you get access to new buildings and features and things like that. So I was quite interested to make one for an aspect of my life that I wanted to kind of work through, just to visualize, what that would look like, to give me a bit of inspiration. Sometimes I find that just trying to figure things out mentally is quite difficult, because if there's quite a lot of elements to a particular issue or something you're trying to achieve, it's all just a little bit jumbled in your mind. But putting it out there like this makes it a bit more easy to understand and follow like a logical progression. So I'll kind of just crack into it. And the area that I'm looking at is like a kind of career progression. But you could apply this to anything. You could apply this to relationships, finances. But I'll just show you how it works to give you kind of an idea. So here would be the very kind of starting elements that I need to address in order to start moving through the technology tree, okay? So self-discipline, I've decided, is a big one, because, it's hard to take action unless you've got self-discipline. And I've added some notes here, just talking about inertia really, and how when you've got a system that's in inertia, it's quite difficult to move it. So I've just written here about Newton's first law, states that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction, unless acted upon by an external force. Inertia is a resistance of an object to changes in its state or motion or rest. All right. So I thought this was quite a good way of explaining how self-discipline works. When you have a system that's in kind of homeostasis, when you're used to certain habits of behavior, unless you have self-discipline, you can't almost break out of it. So I determined this is a very fundamental kind of element that I was going to put in my technology tree that would help me kind of unlock new, I don't know, what do you want to call them? New features, new experiences. So just to show you here, so self-discipline would lead on to, for me, debt management. I've got a little bit of debt I need to sort out. I need to jump on that, contact my debtors. Just face it, it's so easy just to sweep these things under the carpet, but everything gets on top of you. So I've decided that, if I'm self-disciplined enough, I can sit there, I can carry out those actions, which they're not going to be fun. But once I get that done, I can make some real progress. And then once I've unlocked debt management, further down the chain here, 5k savings. Okay. And leading on from that, letting agency renting. And I've used some fun images here because, I'm in virtual reality. It's a very visual based domain. Why not use images? And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But let's zip back down here to self-discipline. So what else have we got? So if I'm self-disciplined, I can also unlock job hunting. Right now I'm in between jobs, finding it a little bit difficult to motivate myself to do the, painstaking task of actually trawling through job boards and all that mundane stuff, right? But if I can get disciplined enough, then I can do that. So as with a lot of these technology trees, you almost have to have multiple elements that feed into them before you can unlock them, right? So here I've got emotional regulation and state management. And I've determined that along with self-discipline, these are fundamental features that I need, or technologies. We'll call them technologies just because it's easier in terms of the example we're giving. And that will help me with job hunting, right? If I can regulate my emotional state, And I've just put some notes here. So notice any emotional content that arises when you're taking these actions. Breathe deeply, allow whatever's there to be there, feel it, allow it to pass whenever it wants. Become aware of emotions that arise in different states. State management. I haven't written notes for all of these, but I'm just showing you an example of how you can write notes and how that's helpful. So experiment with a state of emotional neutrality, or try states like excited or curious. Your state has so much of an impact on what you're doing. So more than anything, just become aware of it. And this is this idea that, becoming aware of what state you're in has a huge difference. When I go to job hunt a lot of the time, I'm in kind of a irritated state. There's all types of subtle emotions going on there. Fear that I'm not going to find anything, boredom, right? So if I can become aware of all that, I can unlock job hunting. I can get in a good emotional place, okay, with state management, emotional regulation, and there you go, right? So, and then moving on from that, I've determined that obviously once I've got a job, that will lead to a permanent employment contract. And here he is, the boss man, handing over the employment contract there. All right. So also just to show you from state management here, I also have a couple of other technologies that I can unlock from state management. So what have we got? Correct behavior in the workplace. Check this out, right? This guy's just sitting there chilling on his computer. That's just something that's very important to me now, just to make sure that I'm getting on with my job and I'm not being influenced by other people that might, have a certain agenda or might want to kind of pull me into it, right? So there you go. And then also from state management, which is very important, I've got this: quitting people pleasing. Huge for me. And this is also tied to this correct behavior in the workplace, because again, I've gone along with certain things in the workplace just because I want to fit in, I want to be liked. So I've decided now that I'm going to quit that. I'm not looking for that anymore, that type of needing to kind of fit in. I'm just there to do my job. I'm not going to be rude or anything like that, but I'm just getting on with my job. And if people want to say that I'm boring or I'm not making an effort to fit in, so be it, and this is just an image here, some people kind of gossiping about me there, probably saying like, who does he think he is, man? He's too good. He's too good to gossip with us. And there I am. Don't ask me why I'm wearing sunglasses at work, but ChatGPT decided that I needed a pair of shades just to show how little I'm actually people pleasing there. So then once I've mastered the art of quitting people pleasing, I then unlock non-reliance on external validation. That's huge for me. And I've only realized recently how huge. I've been basing almost my entire identity on validation from external sources for quite some time. So if you watched my first principle thinking video, you'll see that I worked on some outdated beliefs I had regarding, myself and relying on external validation. And some of these realizations I had were really huge. And, I've basically been getting my identity from external sources from a long time. So this is me moving beyond that. And I've determined that, once I can stop people pleasing, I can stop this reliance I have on external validation and, use a set of inner principles and values that I kind of stick to, that are self-defined. And yeah, so I've put that on this board here because it's really huge for me. And then that would then move on to having like a healthy self-image, an image that I've defined, not an image that's externally derived from what other people think of me. Okay. And I thought it was kind of fun to have his actual image speaking, being a healthy self-image. He's there, and he's saying, damn, I feel good. Okay, so healthy self-image. Okay, so got a healthy self-image, and then for me, that would unlock relationships. Okay, there he is, just chilling. And, I've decided that I can't really have a healthy relationship until I have a healthy self image because in the past, I've had all of these sort of triggers. My partner would just sort of say something, and because, maybe she brings something up with me, like a issues that she's having with maybe my housework. And instead of just taking it as maybe I need to help out, do a bit more, I'm kind of like, oh, she's calling me disgusting, or she's telling me that I'm worthless or whatever. That's just an example. So you have all these triggers and these things that you're protecting all the time when you when you have all of these kind of inner wounds, or you're needing all this external validation. Because if you need external validation and you don't get it, or your external sources let you down, it really triggers you. So, and also you've got this whole thing with projection, right? I'm just pretty sure that when you're needing external validation and when you have a really negative view of yourself, you're much likely to project outwards because you're viewing the external world all the time as feeding into those ideas about yourself. Reality itself becomes kind of shaped to fit your fears and insecurities. So that easily leads to projection and misinterpreting people's motives and behavior. Not good. So I've decided that I'll go through that process. I'll clean up my self image. I'll have a healthier identity, based on all of these other elements that I'm covering here, based on having my own place, etc., and having a nice environment. It all adds up. And then that will lead to me being able to have more stable, healthy relationships if that's what I choose I want. And who wouldn't want that? I mean, look, that's pretty happy situation, right? Right, okay. So then up here from self-discipline, we've also got this unlocking of finding suitable social events. If I can get myself disciplined enough, I can actually start coming out of my shell. Been a bit of a hermit, so I'm really wanting to get myself out there, meet some people, make friends, socialize, network, all that sort of stuff, which for me is scary. I haven't done it in a long time. I think I'm an introvert, although I'm not sure. And I'm just not very good at it. My social skills are lacking, you know. They're not as bad as some people's, but I've identified these things I do where I'll jump in too quickly when someone's speaking. And I'm a good listener, but I'll quite often try and finish people's thoughts and kind of jump in and cut them off. And also, I don't like having uncomfortable silences, or even if there's a silence, I'll just think that it's going to be uncomfortable, and I'll quickly jump in and fill it instead of letting the other person gather their thoughts or say something. And this means that the conversations tend to be about me more because I'm the one kind of jumping in and leading things. It's like I feel like I have to lead the conversation all the time. Anyway, this is me going on a tangent. It's not information you necessarily need to know for this technology tree, but still, it gives you a little bit of context there. So, I really need to get out there and sort this stuff out. And it's come up with an image here just to show, this is like a what's on, where I'm going through and I'm seeing what's on and I'm going to get myself out. And that's where it starts for me. That's where the first part of it starts, just having that self-discipline in order to actually see what's out there, see what type of social events there are, okay? AI came up with these, but for me, it would be more likely interest groups, like maybe a movie group I could meet up with, chat about movies, maybe a Dungeons and Dragons group, because I'm into that. We could get up, chat about that stuff. But that's the first step in getting myself out there and meeting people, right? Having the self-discipline to actually go online, find out what's going on, maybe get the train up to London, go for some nights out, try and meet some people. That will then lead on to socializing. in this rather kind of subdued setting here with this random dude. Don't know who he is. um, and then that leads on to develop social skills, including confidence. Okay, so there's me at the bar now. I'm just like the guy everyone wants to hang out with here. Check this, let's go hang out with that guy. He's just an absolute, he's a legend. Everyone's just cracking everyone up. Again, it all looks like it's a little bit centered around me, but AI came up with that. So there you go. Build social skills, including confidence, get better at it, get better at actually communicating with people, holding conversations. And then that unlocks, and I love this image it came up with. That is just the coolest. I do look like I'm shaking hands with a corpse. That's all right. Maybe it's just a shadow. But that is awesome. Okay. So that is the main technology line there for socializing, and that will lead on to some other stuff as well, but it's a bit tricky to know what order to show everything in, so I'm just winging it and doing the best I can. So let's move through. So if we go to, say, we got debt management there, this is almost kind of the main channel here. Emotional regulation leads to job hunting. There he is, sitting at the desk there with his resume. I was calling it a resume for years, like an idiot. Like, how do you know that's supposed to be resume unless someone tells you? Anyway, it's an American version, isn't it? Just a CV over here. And then that unlocks, as I've shown you before, permanent employment contract. And then from permanent employment contract, now we've got some kind of dollar coming in, right? And that leads on to a few different things. First of all, dental plan, sort my teeth out. Being British, that's something that we all struggle with. So, spend a bit of dollar, get my damn teeth sorted out. That will also lead on to private landlord renting, because when you've got an employment contract, then you can show that to a landlord and you can get a place. I've got a place at the moment, but I do want to move out at some point. But you can see that how this kind of follows through in a logical manner here, right? And it's cool to just have this image in my mind, just to see where all these things are going to lead to. So, if I do start looking for jobs, I've got that inspiration. I've got these images in my mind of why I'm doing it, which helps to, with the emotional regulation and not feel so downtrodden when I'm doing it. And then also from permanent employment contract, we can unlock owning a car. Oh, check that. Oh, I wish I lived in Miami. I bet it looks like that in Miami all the time. And you reckon? I bet if you got off a plane in Miami, it would just look like that. With those purple skies, all right? And then permanent employment contract also leads on to moving out of this city. Here I go, man, giving them the middle finger. In my van, way too big for that van. Obviously, the some of the sizing there is a little bit off with how big I am compared to the van, but still, it works. And I had to be giving them the middle finger, right? Screw you, I'm gone. And then these two things here, moving out of the city and owning a car, lead on to work as a composer. And this is, my chosen profession that I'm trained in, but I'm living in a place where there's not much work around. And, I need to really move up closer to London and have a car. And once I've done that, I can work as a composer. That's a cool image. I like the way it's done that. That's pretty smart. Just sitting there scoring a movie. And then from working as a composer, we have quite a few technologies being unlocked from this. Obviously, you'll find that the more pivotal these technologies are that you unlock, the more of an impact they'll have on your life and the more subsequent technologies they'll tend to unlock. So this unlocks 5k savings. I've decided that I need to save up a little bit of money because I want to be able to rent from a letting agency. And because I've got a bit of debt history, I'll probably need a few months up front for my rent before I move into these places. And ChatGPT gave him 3 hands, and I thought I'd keep it because it was quite funny. They're probably aliens, aren't they? Letting agents. It wouldn't surprise me. So he's using obviously his spare hands to hold his estate agent book, one hand to shake my hand, and the other to hand me the key. So awesome. If a letting agent was born with 3 hands, I'm sure they would just evolve to have 3 hands because it has to be more helpful as a letting agent. It just has to. Right, so also from working as a composer, I've got next up high quality testimonials on website. You know, the more I'm able to kind of get that, the more jobs I can get, and it really is a fundamental aspect or a part of, you know, building up more clientele, more high value clientele, just like it is for anyone that's freelancing, self-employed, right? And then from that, I'll show you actually in a minute. I won't jump ahead too much, but also from work as a composer, I've got relationships because I've deemed that I probably want to have that element of my life sorted before I bother with relationships. Just because, I don't know, I'll be a bit more financially stable. I'll be a bit more happy as well. You know, if I'm working in some dead end job trying to have a relationship, I'll probably be too moody or obsessing over trying to get all this other stuff sorted. So I won't be able to give my time and effort to it, right? So I've decided that that will be an element that I'll need to have in place before I can unlock this lady here. I don't know why he's got his eyes closed. He's just so blissed out. He's drinking. What? Why has he got a gun? I don't know why he's got a gun. I didn't tell ChatGPT to put a gun in the image, but I'm very, very happy with that. All right. And then also just to say, oh yeah, you knew that. I'd mentioned that before. But don't forget, healthy self-image also unlocks relationships. So if I just zoom out a little bit, I probably stayed zoomed in a bit too much on this. So you can see here how it's working out. So then also working as a composer, and from the high quality testimonials, that would lead on to creative collaborations. So there I am in the studio, wearing my classic blue shirt and tie that AI seems to keep giving me, and I'm recording this cellist. Good times, good future times. And we're kind of getting to the end of it pretty much, but just to show you how it all ends up. So high quality testimonials on website leads to creative collaborations, and then these 2 elements both lead to financial independence, which is a huge aim for a lot of people, right? I don't have to have a 9 till 5. I don't have to worry about having a boss. I'm just independent. I'm freelancing. And don't ask me why I chose this Blade Runner-esque image. I think it's just because that's my go-to image when I imagine just being successful in a sense. I imagine living in this cool penthouse apartment somewhere and in this cool kind of city high rise. And I love that imagery from Blade Runner. It makes me so happy. So I thought that would work pretty well. And by the time it happens, there probably will be flying cars if I don't get a move on soon. And then that leads on to, wait for it, The Good Life. And there I am on my yacht with my lover, chilling out in the neon glow, probably off the shores of Miami again. And that's what it's all about. What do you think of when you think of the good life? If you picture the good life, close your eyes. What do you see? I don't know why, but I see a yacht. Maybe you see a desert island. Maybe you're in your garden playing with your kids. Maybe you're living in a camper van somewhere. Be interested to know. Put that in the comments. And that's it, pretty much. And then the friendships from earlier, that also was an element in creative collaborations here. So as you can see, this follows a chain up the top here. The social element follows this chain up the top, and it only really connects to anything this far down. Creative collaborations there. Okay, so I think that's about it. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I hope that that was useful for you. Do try and create your own. I mean, you don't need to have VR. You don't need to have this app, Noda. This is a free app. I pay for it £4 a month. You get all these cool rooms, extra rooms you can work in, and unlimited maps that you can save. It's really worth it. And just to show you how I used AI, I mean, I use AI and virtual reality all the time. So you bring up the menu here, you open the browser, and then you just load ChatGPT. They've got this browser built into Noda, and you can search for ChatGPT in the search bar, sign in. I've got it set up as a bookmark here, and then you can just chat to it as you normally would. You can click in there, ask it something. I click this speech icon down there, switch on speech, and then create me a synthwave image of a guy in a car, and then press this button to go. ChatGPT will create me an image. All right. And once that's done, I can drag it in. I won't wait for that one to be done, but here's just the one I created earlier. And you click the trigger, pull it out, and then you have it in the room there. And you can assign that quite easily as the image for your node. Usually a node will look like this, but you can go in and go to image and assign it there. I mean, this Noda is awesome. I do so much stuff in here. You know, rather than use pen and paper, I'm in here creating these fun things, creating images. I love it. So yeah, let us know what you think of this, guys. This is pretty useful. I'm going to go in and I'm going to refine it a bit. You know, you could have each one of these branching out into its very own tree. You know, I could easily branch out from non-reliance on external validation. You could get more granular on pretty much any of these, but I chose to be quite broad with mine. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and see you later.